We're meeting today courtesy of the Oxford Township boardroom as for our location. So with that, I'd like to ask everyone to stand for a Pledge of Allegiance. And is there a volunteer for an invocation? Donnie usually does it. Linda? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, please, Elvin.
Okay. Dear God, we ask you for your assistance with the Pollyann Trail and people that work on the trail. Please assist us in making it better every day, not every year. And also, please let there be good conscience between the public and the Pollyann Trail Council. And God, we ask, amen.
Thank you. Okay, I'll call this meeting to order and ask for a roll call for attendance of the Trail Council representatives.
Okay. Mike McDonald.
Present.
Curtis Wright.
Here.
Donnie Steele. Absent. Elgin Nichols. Here. Bruce Pearson.
Here.
Eric Sent.
Here.
Aaron Wadley.
Here.
Sue Bassardit.
Here.
Kevin Green.
Here.
Oh, okay. That's it.
Okay, great. We have a quorum. Council has before it an agenda. Are there any additions, changes? If none, a motion to approve the agenda would be in order.
I moved to.
Wait a minute. Were you gonna put it on?
We can add it on. I would like to add potential donation from the Rotarians of
Oxford.
Oxford.
We can
Item
add
G.
that under new
New
business.
business.
Right. Item G, donation Oxford Rotarians. Or Rotary. Are there any other changes? Is there a motion then to approve the agenda as amended?
Support. I mean,
A motion?
no, I make a motion that we approve
Okay.
the agenda.
I'll support.
Thank you. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion to approve the amended agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Council has before it the consent agenda, which includes the minutes, the treasurer's report, including the approval of bills to be paid in the amount of $3,381.20 for the month of May, the financial report, and the trail manager's written report. Unless there's a need to review them individually, I'm asking for a motion to cover all of these items for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report, including the bills to be paid in the amount of $3,381.20. Receive and file the financial report for the treasurer's summary and the trail manager's written report.
In the minutes. In the minutes.
And the minutes.
Minutes, I'm sorry, and the minutes.
Good, very good. Sue, is that you?
Support.
Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Donnie Steele absent. Elgin Nichols, yes. Bruce Pearson.
Yes.
Eric Sent.
Yes.
Aaron Wadley.
Yes.
Sue Bassardit.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
Motion granted.
Motion approved. Next item is public comment. This is an opportunity to speak to the council if you have a matter that's not on the agenda. You guys aren't here for anything besides your item, right? Okay. Okay, hearing no comments or desire to speak, we'll move on to the citizen representative report. Kevin Green, what do you think? No report today? Good, thank you. Okay, best part of the meeting, the trail manager.
I don't have that much.
Good.
I've been not paying attention, I guess. I don't know. Just a couple of things. We're finishing up the Tanview trespass.
It has been, he did remove part of the fence, and we do have it under follow-up, so we can touch on that later. The Borman trespass, that time is elapsed. He had 6 months to make restitution and to fix the trail. I don't see any indication that he's been down the trail. His fields have been planted, so I'm thinking he's been off the trail. He did spread some straw on the site. The brush that he did demolish and put to the side has not been removed, so I don't know if
The brush is on the Pollyant Trail property?
probably like 6 feet. So I don't know if we just want to just kind of, it's been rectified, or if we want to push on it.
And he did pay the
He did
fine.
pay the restitution, $450.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Go
No.
ahead.
And he did spread some straw. I have no indication, footage, or anything that he's been on the trail with his bulldozers or his planters or anything. So we might just want to just keep an eye on it and then just kind of figure out what to do next with it. The Beehive Homes, the trail damage that they did, putting in their sewer and their water lines, has been taken care of. They've done all the repairs to it. It looks fabulous. They did a really nice job. They did order a full gravel train of surface material from Ohio for us to fix it, and he had about 15, 20 yards left over. So he did donate it to the trail. We have it stored out at Oxford Parks and Rec with the rest of our material out there. Jeff from Parks and Rec did ask if an Eagle Scout could use about 3 yards of it for a project he was doing for the parks, and I said yes, he could take it, because they let us store so much stuff out there. I just kind of felt it was right. The Wood Trail sinkhole continues. We still have a sewer line running across the trail. We do have a hole. They are working on it. The stumbling block is they have a lot of custom things that they're having to have manufactured, delivered. It's just taking a lot of time. The weather's not helping, the heat, the rain. They're hoping to have it done by the 22nd. I'm thinking closer probably to the end of the month. I will be shocked if they can pull it in by the 22nd. The zoning in Orion has been approved. We're working, we are going to be rec class 2. So that means we fall under the jurisdiction of the recreational class 2 in Orion, so we're good to go. We'll be able to get our building permits and everything set. I did lose our plumber that was going to install our water fountain at the Clarkston Trailhead, so I am desperately searching for a new person to install that water fountain. Joe Gwynn said he would help me out, but he was off on a disability with a broken leg, and now he's back to work, so he is just swamped. He's going to work us in, but it's going to take a while.
That's just for the surface work.
That's just for the surface work. So the hunt continues for a plumber to help us get it installed. I've got to call out to many different places. They're going to call me back when they get a minute to actually figure out what we can do.
Is this bigger than something that Ray Van Tyne could do?
Ray can't do it. He probably could hook it up, with the actual hooking connection, but the actual trenching and the laying of pipes, he doesn't do that.
Okay.
So I'm looking for somebody. I've got to call into Orion, Lake Orion Heating and Cooling. I've got to call into Falcon Sprinkler Systems, pretty much anybody that can trench and put in the pipes. So we're working on that. So more to follow. The bridge dedication, June 2nd, went fabulous. We had about 114 people. Al Burke showed up. He gave a little speech. Everything went great. Chris Barnett was there. We had a really good time. I think the weather was perfect. It was overcast and chilly, so everybody was freezing, which is good. And it was scheduled from 10 to noon, and we were on the road and out of there by noon. So it actually went really well. Curtis, you were missed. Aaron, you were missed. But, the Pollyant Trail has been asked by Oxford Parks and Rec to participate in their Celebrate the Park program. They have pop-up events, which basically they blanket their social media with an event that's going to take place. They give a time and a place randomly, and then people go there for their little special pop-up events. There usually are free giveaways that the park does. They asked the Pollyant Trail if we'd like to participate, and I said yes. So they do ask that we do little giveaways. I was thinking that I could, like for the first 15 people that come, a little birdhouse or a little mason bee house, or we have the little horse bags that we have that are like satchel bags that we have that we could give away for the first, 10 or 15 people. So we're going to do that, and that is going to be on July 17th, and it's an evening. We were going to be right by the new observation dock. So we'll have a little table set up there, and it's like an hour or so, and I think Parks and Rec are giving away a free kites, and it's just kind of a cute little event that they do. So we'll be doing that. The butterfly garden is really doing well. We've got all kinds of monarch butterflies. Sue and I were out there last night, and we have maturing larvae, and they're going into the pupa stage now. We had 8 harvested at 5 days and 8 days old, and they are with butterfly rehabilitators, so they're in the foster homes right now, getting grown to be released back on the trail. The Orion Bike Fix-It station was vandalized, the pump head was destroyed and stolen. I did order a new one, and it has been replaced. The pump head in Oxford is just broken, or it works, but I've ordered a new head, and I'm going to replace that one. The one in Addison is working fine, so our bike fix-it stations are up and running. Let's see, the Leonard Trailhead, we were out on Sunday on the hottest day of the year with our WHAM crew. We did some upgrades. We did put a trail camera up there, so we have eyes on the trailhead up there. We power washed the bridge, did a lot of really nice improvements. We cleaned out the horse corral, and we're in the process of painting it. The equestrian group did come out last Wednesday, and we did a lot of painting. We did some mounting step installations. They were really great. So Libby Dwyer and her group came out, and they did a lot of hard work out there. That's about it for right now. The Clarkston Trailhead, I still have $2,365 remaining out of the money that was given to us last year by Joe Corrigan. And I am going to start moving forward to getting some prices and some designs on a new map sign that I would like to use throughout the entire trail. So I have the money for that right now, so I'd like to use that as our prototype, and we'll get approval on that. The cement pads in the work, Joe Gwynn's helping us out on that. I would like to use some of that money for the parking lot improvement and get a split rail fence put on the west side. We've had some problems with people driving across the parking lot and across our barriers. And if we can maybe put up a split rail fence, it might deter them a little bit. I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to put some crushed limestone around the bike rack. I'm going to dig that out and kind of make it look a little bit nicer. I'd also like to get some more wrap put in. My source for free wrap has dried up, so there is a gentleman close by that is selling it delivered for $12 a yard. I'm probably going to need a few yards, so I'm going to try and talk him down on the price, but if I can get it for $10 a yard, we'll see what we can do. Get some more, just kind of keep the mud down. Mud is not good for the trail. Every time I get mud, that means it's not doing what it's supposed to do. And we're going to seed the area with some grass seed, and Orion Township Parks and Rec are going to start mowing it for us. Yay! So that's going to be awesome. And that's pretty much it for the trail manager's report. So.
Linda, regarding the money that was allocated.
Yes.
Was that already authorized for use as the signs? I thought we
Yes.
had already covered that.
Yeah, we already covered that previous.
Okay.
We were just kind of waiting for the decision to be made about the Iron Belt Trail. And it's just kind of been hanging out there. And we know for a fact that Clarkston is going to connect into the Pollyant Trail and the Paint Creek on the Clarkston section. So we're just going to run with it. And we're just going to we're going to put that connection on the map. And we're going to put it up there.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the vandalism that you had at the pump.
Yes.
Is there cameras?
There is not a camera at that site. I can put one up in that area, and I move them around frequently. I mean, Mike knows they're never in the same spot twice, because people will find them and try to steal them. I've had a couple attempted to be stolen from them, but no success.
I'm thinking if it happened once, it'll probably happen again.
Yeah.
The other question I had was concerning Powell Lake. Where do we stand on that?
We are actually working on that. Joe Gwynn was going to try and get cement put out there on Saturday. Because of the heat, he did not have success. I'm talking to him. He's working on it. He's just really swamped right now because he was out for many weeks with a broken leg, so he's just kind of catching up. My Eagle Scouts over here, they're going to poke and prod Logan to get going on that. I did do a little mowing out there yesterday, at least exposing the garbage can. So next week, we're going to be out there. We're going to take care of Powell, and we're going to knock Clarkston off. I'm getting these two things done by the end of July.
Just a good note.
Yeah.
I was in a restaurant. I got talking to a couple that were out of state,
Yeah.
and they had gone by the Powell Lake, and really thought that was really nice compared to what they had back home. So,
Yeah.
great job.
Yeah, so we're working on it. So it's just, always working on it.
Okay, so just steering things back
Yeah.
to clean up any loose ends. So you're okay. Is there a council member that has a comment regarding the
Clarkston.
concept of the signage being restricted to Paint Creek and Pollyant rather than including the Iron Bell at this time? Because that's still up in the air whether
Right.
it doesn't look like they're going to go west at that point, so.
They may go south. Do you think they're going to go south, Aaron?
Right at the Clarkston Road?
Yeah.
The last discussion that we had at Orion was they were talking with Independence Township.
Right.
And they were having some hurdles with Brandon.
Right.
Moving up through that way. I don't think they're gonna go south. From what I remember is they're gonna keep shooting straight down Clarkston Road. And then when they get to M15, that's the question.
Right. So, and I think right now, because we're doing such fabulous work in Orion Township, connecting the Paint Creek and the Pollyant, we have no signage in that area whatsoever, and we have no valid signage. And my concern is people are going to go up that fabulous bridge they have in Orion Township and get to the Paint Creek, or the Pollyant, and they're like, well, now where do we go? Because there is nothing up there. So, my thought is, even if we get the sign that just shows the Clarkston connection, in the Pollyant, north and south there, we'll have Joslyn and we'll have, different amenities on the signs. That way, people, at least when they get there, they're not lost. They're not just left.
Yeah.
So.
But they will be, the phase 2 of the Clarkston Road project should be happening this year, which will connect right by Camp Agawam to the Pollyant Trail.
Correct.
And then I believe last week or the week before, we were awarded a $1.6 million TAP grant from M24 down to Clarkston Kern Road to do another pathway and then a pedestrian bridge across the Paint Creek. So it will be fully
Fabulous.
connected at that point.
So, I think what we'll do is, I'll mock up some designs. We'll get some designs on that. I really want to get some new maps. We're almost out of our paper maps, using the Clarkston connection as this designated route.
Well, clearly, we need to work with our
Oh, yeah.
member communities and make sure that we know what their plans are,
Right.
such as Aaron described, and then have our signs, accommodate that type of information.
Yeah.
So, I don't think there's a motion necessary as long as you've already been authorized to do the signs, but if there is a question on the signs, I want the council to be able to bring that forward.
Right, and I wouldn't do anything without your approval, because it's kind of a big deal, and they're really expensive.
Right.
So, in the way I want to have the signs designed, we can add to the signs. We can modify the signs once they're made, because as they are now, you really can't. But with these new signs, you can add routes, you can make changes on them. So I think that will be very beneficial going forward, at least getting us out of Orion Township. The sign will get us at least to the next.
Into and out of
Right.
Orion Township.
Right, into and out of Orion Township and into and out off the Pollyant Trail. So I think that'll be,
Right, well, that addresses my concerns on the report. Are there any other that anybody wants to? Okay, Linda,
All right.
thank you.
thanks.
Okay, under new business, I understand we have no new event requests.
We do not.
Okay. Item B, the Eagle Scout project. We have two Eagle Scout candidates with us today. I'll let them introduce themselves. Who wants to go first? We've got two different projects. This is Lance, right?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
Lance Kennedy. My project proposal is to add dog waste bins to the Pollyant Trail. On how they would work or what exactly you guys want, that's what I was gonna leave up for discussion right now. What I was thinking when Mrs. Moran originally gave me the idea was to actually build out of, like, most likely wood, square boxes with trash bins in them, with a post on the back, with a box that I would also make with the waste bin, with the baggies in them. So as you go, you take one, leave one, and you keep going. But then I was thinking, there's already trash cans on the trail. So what if, instead of devoting all my time to building the trash can, I just build a lot of the little boxes with the waste bags in them, and then put them on already existing trash cans? That raises the problem of it gets mixed with the human rubbish, which is not something, we want. So my Eagle coordinator, Mr. Charlton, had the idea of maybe putting like a mini like a trash bag or something on the other side of the already existing trash bins. So I've got a couple ideas. Do you guys have anything specifically you guys want from this, or is it just up to me?
It sounds like a good project, and gosh knows, there are certain areas probably that have a higher priority for that type of, in the more populated areas, Oxford,
Oxford, Orient Township, Oxford Township.
Right.
We have a lot of walkers, denser populated areas
with dogs.
with dogs.
So,
Yeah. Orient Township is not as bad. It seems like they're maybe not as,
We have a dog park.
yeah, there's a dog
They
park.
love it, yeah.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of.
Can I ask a question?
yes, go ahead.
Who empties these? Or who's gonna empty them in the future?
Higher, raise the hand higher.
The head
It-
garbage person.
It's, do you do it in the village as well, or?
I empty all the trash throughout the trash can, yes.
Okay.
Mondays are the northern part, Tuesdays are the southern.
Okay.
Does that include for horses too?
I have to pull a shovel in the back of my truck.
Oh.
Well, it sounds like a great project. Linda, do you have anything that's a priority for you as far, because you're, ultimately, I assume that the council will approve the project and hand you the authority to manage it with the scouts.
The, right now, all our garbage cans are used primarily for dog waste. I mean, there's a few cups and bottles and things in there, but primarily, it's dog waste. So I have no problem just having a box attached to the already existing post with bags in it, take one, leave one.
Right. So we don't need an extra basket?
We don't need an extra
If
basket.
it's going in the garbage, it's good enough?
And it's just, if you start adding too many posts, it makes it just get so cluttered up. It's like, where am I supposed to go? It just becomes 2 more garbage cans, 4 more garbage cans.
Well, the only point on that would be just to find out if it's legal. I don't know, I've never really questioned whether you can dispose of dog waste in the garbage, but I don't see why not. So, was there another question?
Yeah, are the bins you're talking about for grocery bags, or, because I know the dog park, they originally started with actual dog waste bags, and then that became quite expensive. So now they went to a technique that if you go grocery shopping and you have your extra bags, you come and you stuff them down a tube, and that's what you use.
Yeah,
So
can
I just
add that.
don't want the Trails Commission to get to a point where we have an expense for these bags ongoing now. So if it's built in preparation for people to use their old grocery bags, then that might be an expense we won't incur in the future.
Yeah, it kind of,
Yeah.
it worked out because optimally, doing to add a box to already existing trash cans would allow me to make more, and it'd be a lot, I wouldn't have to make this huge trash, box, like a whole new thing with a whole, like, post hole digging and stuff to, but I would only be able to make a couple of those, but now with this, if I already add them to the existing one, I can cover a lot of them, right? Because these aren't they're just, boxes with bags. But I'm gonna add that too, have like a little, maybe a lid or something.
I think addressing what he was saying, what about donations from people like Myers and so forth for bags?
I can talk to them too about the beneficiary or
Kmart.
the donation section, yeah. So that's all good ideas. I'll take them.
We can also put that on Facebook, like an ongoing thing. Recycle your bags, even if you don't have dog, leave them in there.
Yeah,
Could even be a sponsorship opportunity for,
for Meyer.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they sell those bags where you can just imprint logos and so,
Yeah.
500, buy 500 and you get your logo on it, then we'll take it to the next. But I don't want to make it too
Too cumbersome.
cumbersome for you down the road, so.
Yeah, that all sounds good. So we can coordinate with where and how many, but, all right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Lance. Council, do you want to pass a motion authorizing the trail manager to work with Boy Scout Lance Kennedy on the dog waste removal, or dog, what would you call it? Dog waste?
Disposal.
Waste disposal system, for lack of a better way.
I'd make that motion. I think it's a great idea, and we thank you very much. I hope that you get your Eagle badge out of this, because I think it would be very well used on the trail.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Elgin Nichols, second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion approving the Boy Scout project on the Pollyant Trail by Lance Kennedy, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. We'll say that's all in favor. And come back to us if need be, Linda, and Lance, if you need any clarification or direction. Okay, next young man, please introduce yourself and we'll proceed.
I am Max Charlton, out of the same unit as my comrade Lance. My Eagle Scout project proposal is for replacing the mile markers along the trail. I understand that some of these posts have been vandalized in the past on a few occasions.
Yes,
Am I wrong?
they're outright missing in many locations.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Great.
I was looking into, along with my advisor, replacing at least half of them, which the current number total is about 32, right? Correct?
Yes,
I was
think we
gonna
were talking about every half mile.
half mile.
every half mile, so 32 total. I was talking about replacing 16 and saving the other 16 for another Eagle Scout in either my troop or Troop 108 to take over and use as their project, just to give back a little bit.
Okay.
Although this wouldn't be helping your progress any at much, but
Well, you have to set a reasonable goal.
exactly, yeah.
So,
The speaking of setting reasonable goals, we ran some numbers last time. Me and Miss Moran last met at Evergreen's Coffee right alongside the trail. We ran the numbers and it was about $4,500, I believe.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So, but that number would be cut in half.
With
Half.
if we only do half, like what I was talking about. Which, if we do this in chunks, it's much more easy to see economically and see for the resources as well. Because if we do it in portions, we can take it on slower, take it on much more manageably. It takes out a monster and makes it half the size. I would be willing to fundraise and donate at least $1,000 just out of my own proceeds, doing can drives and whatnot. We were going to go see funding from the local police and fire departments, as well as the sheriff's office, if I can get a meeting with the undersheriff.
I think we might be able to help with that.
I might be able to arrange that for you.
All right, thank you.
Contact Mr. Pearson from Addison Township.
All right.
He's the township supervisor there, and he's got very good connections with the Oakland County Sheriff's Department.
My father is the forensic scientist or firearm specialist with the county, so hopefully I can get a
You'll
little
look at
reach
it,
in.
you're all set then.
I hope so.
Okay.
Just for, I'm sorry, just for the record, would you spell your last name?
CHARLTON.
Mr. Rock
Okay,
has also
thank you.
offered help too.
We appreciate that.
Yes,
Yeah, with our firefighters association, we've already contacted them and they're on board, so
okay, that's good to hear.
I'll share the
Very good
contact
to hear.
with you.
I put a bug in Addison Township Fire Department too, so they're willing to listen and consider it, that's for sure.
All right.
So,
And Oxford Parks and Rec Authority Committee, they said, go see them and they'll get you some money too.
Yep, I was working down on another Eagle Scouts project this morning. Sean Patterson, I believe if
He's the one
he,
using our rocks.
oh, okay.
I didn't
Don't
stay
take
that long.
Yeah, don't take them
I don't need any rocks.
all. Yeah, I know.
But if there are any other addings on to anything that I have? Any questions?
As long as you work with the trail manager on the
Oh,
placement
absolutely.
and design,
We already have a design laid out from last time we spoke.
The design was one we presented at council, I think, 3 months ago.
Right.
The only question we had was the actual sign design, which, once we get the funds raised, we'll present to council, and we can, that's easy.
Okay.
Signs are the easy part.
Yeah.
And you're still able to drill the holes?
Sure.
All right.
Okay. And
Right.
it's done by the end of August.
Any questions from the council for our Boy Scout, Max?
I'd like to make a motion then. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this project for your Eagle Scout badge, and that would be for the mile markers and the raising of the funds of, $1,000? And then the rest would be handled by the Pollyant Trail.
Support.
Been a motion and a support to approve the Boy Scout project proposed by Max Charlton for mile markers. Did I miss it? For mile markers on the Pollyant Trail with the signage and authorize the trail manager to coordinate that project. Any, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Very good. Nice job, guys. Good presentations.
And they have to run away because they have other activities.
Okay, yeah, you're clearly. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the Foster Swift engagement letter. This has been provided to the council in the packet. Basically, it outlines the scope of work, the costs or the fees, and that would be incurred in having Foster Swift with our primary contact being Lisa Hamame for legal counsel for the trail. So are there any questions from the council on that? If none, a motion to authorize the trail chairperson to enter into the agreement or the letter of authorization would be in order.
I move to approve the engagement letter between the Pollyant Trail Management Council and Foster Swift as presented, and authorize Chairman Michael J. McDonald to sign the agreement on behalf of the Pollyant Trail Management Council.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Nichols. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote because it will eventually entail an expense and it's essentially an agreement. So with that, Elgin, if you would call a roll.
Mike
For
McDonald.
approval. Yes.
Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Donnie Steele absent. Elgin Nichols, yes. Bruce Pearson,
Yes.
Eric Sant,
Yes.
Aaron Watley,
Yes.
Sue Bassardet.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Motion's approved. Okay, thank you, council. Moving on to item D, for some reason Linda seems to think we need to pay more attention to the trail. So go ahead, Linda.
It is just funny thing.
What exactly are we talking about and how much?
Well, I contacted Aaron Watley in Orion Township about Rochester Hills doing another cut in the Orion section of the trail. They're able to do it for us at no cost, correct? After the 4th of July. It's getting really ingrown down in that general area. I've been trying to keep up on it, but with all the rain and just all of a sudden everything started to grow. We did not do a cut with Keith Lynchfield in Orion Township. Rochester's been doing it. Keith is a little more aggressive with his cuts, so maybe Rochester will help us out in the short term, and then in the fall, maybe revisit having Keith come in and do a complete cut, an aggressive complete cut throughout the entire trail. He is aggressive in the fact that he gets the job done. There is damage to what's left. I mean, there is a cleanup. I'm not going to coat it. It's just, it's a mess. But in the long term, it's much better for maintenance. It's much better for the trail. The trail stays drier. We're able to keep the weeds at bay. Overall, it's shocking, but if we can just kind of get past the first couple of years, it actually is really good long term. The areas we've done several times now in the northern part of the trail is really nice. It's growing back in. It's not overtaking the trail. It's at a manageable level. So I think we should have Rochester do the cut this summer just to keep it at bay. And then in the fall, we need to revisit having Keith come out and do the whole trail again.
Before we change the topic,
Right.
Or move on, are we talking about the vertical cut? Or
Yes.
are we talking about brush hogging or both?
Both.
Or what?
It's the vertical cut that Keith does.
Okay. I'm
Rochester-
talking about Rochester Hills for Orion.
Right.
What are they going to do, I guess?
It's more of
Vertical
a
cut.
vertical cut.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more of a,
When they give me a heads up when they're coming out, I'll share it with you. We can ask them to do a more
fresh cut.
aggressive cut.
Yeah.
I
would like
We're
that.
always kind of hesitant because,
yeah, the screaming that fall.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're out there and you're directing them how you see fit, then I'm fine with that.
Please warn Rochester Hills.
What's that?
Please warn Rochester Hills.
Well, I think we should
But-
anticipate that if it's an aggressive cut, that we may have to call in professional assistance like we did before to
Right.
clean up afterwards, which is an additional expense. But I think it's proven well worth it because
Right.
it allayed a lot of public complaints and concerns about what we were doing to the trail.
Right.
And if we go into it knowing that that's part of it, we should plan for that, Linda.
Right.
As well, even in July, if it comes up,
Correct.
if it looks like it's gonna be an issue, we should definitely be
Correct.
prepared to deal with it in August.
And I just think if we need to do something now. So if we do a little more aggressive and then kind of revisit it in the fall and see where we're at trail-wide, because the trail's looking really good. I mean, I love Orion. It's kind of like a little fairyland, but it's way too grown in. It would be difficult in some areas to actually get an emergency vehicle down there. I was shocked. I was down there last Saturday replacing the pump head, and I couldn't believe how much it had grown in. I was just down there. I was just mowing, and it wasn't like that. It was crazy how fast it went. I also would like to see about getting authorization to do a fourth cut, a professional cut with our landscapers, Pete Wentz, at $750 a cut, just one of our normal cuts. We have authorized 3, one before Memorial Day, one before 4th of July, and one before Labor Day. That leaves us July and August, we have no cut for 2 months. So the only mowing that we get done is actually the mowing that I or Wham does. It's just growing at a tremendous rate, yes.
And our equipment won't handle it?
It's just too much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 17 miles. I can spot hit it, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Curtis?
Couldn't you blend that in with the last cut where you want Litchfield to do?
we can, but we're not gonna do it trail wide like in the end of July. You know, with.
You're afraid that it's gonna grow in too much
Too
between
much.
now and then?
Yeah,
make
and it's
it-
the grass portion, it's not the vertical cut. Pete is our mower, who actually just mows the grass. He mows 2 feet off the sides of the trail, just the grass. He doesn't do any vertical cutting, he doesn't do any brush hogging. In fact, I work with him to make sure it's brush hogged so he can get his professional mowers down there. So it's actually just an additional mow of grass.
How much will Litchfield charge us for the vertical?
Yeah, it was about $1,600.
16?
Yeah, approximately. I don't know what his numbers are this year, but that was last year. So,
Well, it's not a good time when it's full leaf, when
It's not.
everything's grown in. So to keep it cleared out as much as possible before the fall is what you're really talking
Right.
about, right?
if I get an extra mow, which is just the grass, it keeps a lot of that, basically those bittersweet vines from actually growing into the trail, because they're growing at ground level. If we can keep that mowed back 2 feet, then when Orion has Rochester do the vertical cut and we have Keith come in and do the vertical cut, it just keeps it neater, better organized, tidier. We can see a lot of problems with the trail before they become critical problems. Because when we did that first vertical cut in September of 2016, I can't believe the problems we found on the trail because they were exposed. The brush was removed.
So at this time, is the total amount you're looking for is just the additional mow? Are there other expenses that we need to talk about?
Not at this time. I would just like to call Pete and have him do an extra cut, probably the end of July, the 1st of August. So we get 4 professional mows a year instead of the 3 we have contracted. Rochester Hills is going to do a vertical cut. I will be there, and we'll do a little more aggressive, and we'll see how it comes out. So at that time, that's also free at no cost. We'll see how it turns out, and we'll revisit maybe a possible cleanup afterwards. So.
Okay.
And then we'll do Keith, we'll examine what we have at the end of the season, then we'll see what we have to do with Keith, and maybe have him come out.
So you've looked at the budget?
Yes?
Okay. We have the money?
Sure.
Okay. I've looked at it too. And we do. I mean, we can schedule.
Yeah.
In fact, there have been years when we have authorized an extra mow or extra work to be performed. So it's not an extraordinary request by any means. Are you done, or do we need to talk more about
Nope.
this?
I'm good.
Okay.
So.
Yes,
Is she
Alvin?
asking for $1,600 then?
No, I'm asking for $750
$750?
for Pete to do one additional mow of the entire trail, 17 miles. And then
Okay.
Rochester Hills is going to do a vertical cut for free for us after the 4th of July. And then we'll figure out where we're at that point.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the council on this request?
I think you move it forward.
Is there a motion then to approve an additional mowing by the contracted vendor at a cost of $750?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Mr. Sun?
Yeah, authorizing $750 for an additional mow for the, with the existing mowing
Contractor.
company that we have, correct? Okay.
Is there a support, or a second for that?
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Wright? Are there any questions on the motion? Could we have a roll call then to authorize the additional expenditure?
Mike McDonald,
Yes.
Curtis Wright,
Yes.
Donnie Steele absent, Elgin Nichols, yes. Bruce Pearson,
Yes.
Eric Sant,
Yes.
Aaron Wadley,
Yes.
Sue Bassardet,
Yes.
approved.
Very good. Okay, moving on then to item E, water fountain donation location. Linda?
We've been offered by the same gentleman that gave us the first one to help us with the second one. We're gonna
Wait,
put
wait.
that,
You don't mean the one in Leonard, you're talking about the one in
No,
Orion.
the one in
That
Orion.
hasn't yet been installed.
has not been put in
Okay.
yet. I've had a discussion with Sue yesterday and the Rotarians, so we're gonna maybe push that into item G when we go, because we have some things going on that water fountain might fit really good into, so we'll do it when we get to G. So,
Okay, so
Put a pin in that one.
we're done with E for now.
Yep.
Moving on to F. We've had some informal discussions. I'm advised that the Village of Oxford is looking at making some changes and possibly turning the DPW or the
Please.
old fire station into parking area. But at this time, it doesn't seem to be affecting us.
Not at this time. I did talk to Joe yesterday. It pretty much looks like that building will be torn down in the foreseeable future. Am I correct, Sue? 22.
Well, what's foreseeable future?
In the next year?
Yeah.
Okay. In the next year, it'll be torn down. That is where we have our Pollyant Trail offices, and we also store all of our equipment. So we are going to have to have a new home. Now, it has been suggested by Curtis Wright that we ask Mr. Bill Dunn if we could possibly use the unfinished basement downstairs to store our equipment and our material.
Well, this is a good time to introduce the idea.
Yeah.
And let them
Yeah.
consider it, certainly.
That is one option that we have. That's probably if Mr. Dunn is willing and the Oxford Township is willing to let us use that. There's a couple of questions that come into play that we need to work out. One, I need to have access to that facility after hours. Is that something that would be possible? We'd have to work that out. How would I have access to that? On a Sunday afternoon, I don't want the sheriff being called out on me every time I show up, or on, 9 o'clock on a Friday night and I have a tree down somewhere and I'm getting equipment or whatever. Because I oftentimes run through, as I'm running to and fro. Anyway, so that's an issue. How do we have access to the building after hours? How much of the building do we need? Working on an agreement with the township. That could be, really easy, quick. We'd have to build it out a bit, to keep it segregated from the rest of the stuff down there.
Well, that would be a consideration wherever you would
Right.
end up. So.
The other one is we build some structure on property that we already own. Orient Township, Oxford Township, or in the Village of Leonard. We actually build a shed. Again, that's another problem. We need the funds to build the shed. It has to be large enough, cement pad. We would need to have electricity. So those are all considerations. But this is something that we need to start thinking about, because in a year, we're gonna have to move. So if we start looking now, we're prepared for it when it comes in. And I did ask the village to give us a 90-day eviction, so we at least have 90 days from whenever we are told. So that's where we're at right now. So.
Well, yeah, just to be more than fair, we appreciate that the village has been
generous.
A history of generosity and helping the trail with providing the space and all of that. So I don't want anybody to leave thinking that we're not appreciative of what we have received, that's for sure.
No, the village has been just a tremendous help in a lot of different ways. And I mean, they will continue to be a generous help even though we're not there. But, it's just, the space is just fabulous. It's convenient. And I love it.
I'm set.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got my answer.
Alvin?
Yeah, the only concern I would have from the township standpoint, and I can't speak for the supervisor of the township, but would be what you're going to store there. Is there anything flammable,
Yes.
that kind of thing?
Yes. I mean, we have oil, we have gas, we have equipment with hot engines,
That would be certainly a concern, I think.
Yeah, and that's my problem. And where there isn't somebody here 24 hours a day, like the police station, where it's centrally located, that's the problem. We're going to have gas in the building. I will have WAM crews here. The problem that the village is concerned has with the police cars, and we have Oakland County Sheriff here too. I don't know. There's a lot of things that have to be worked out. That's why I'm just presenting the idea of we are going to be evicted, so what do we do?
One more thing. Have you had a discussion with Ron Davis at all
I
for
have
the
not.
parks?
I have not.
Because he may very well have storage that might be inducive to what you want to do.
Yeah, and I do need some storage that is waterproof, because we have a lot of documents, legal documents, for the creation of the trail and different things, so those have to be secured somewhere. They don't have to be stored together, but they have to be stored where mice aren't going to get them.
Well, the office,
Water, the office, yeah.
the Pollyant Trail office in Leonard
Right.
still is there, and there's still files there.
We can
So-
just move everything back.
So anything that needs security and
Okay.
protection from the elements is certainly welcome there.
So we just move everything back there. But, so it's
Okay.
just, it's coming, so we gotta
Okay.
figure out what to do next.
So we'll consider this a heads up.
Yeah.
And we'll be exploring options
Right.
as we move along.
Sounds good.
Okay, we have new item G that was added, donation in cooperation with the Oxford Rotary potential, I guess?
Sue's gonna do that.
Okay,
He knows.
Well, the information is real sketchy at this point in time. Several months ago, I was approached by the Oxford Rotary Club because they'd like to do a project within the village. And they'd been talking about it for a while, and I was asked if they'd like to do some kind of a playground. That's how it started out. And so I was asked to come up with some ideas, and one of the ideas which they have really latched onto is to put a play park along the trail, just would be west of Merge. The village owns some property in there, and so it would be partially on village property, partially on Pollyant property. Right behind the parking lot, west of the parking lot that Merge uses right now, is a triangular piece of property that they would like to, which is the village, would like to put some kind of a rest station, possibly a small gazebo, some seating, this type of thing. We also approached them on having this water fountain located there. And then kind of kitty corner across the trail, they want to have a long rectangular area that would be all fenced in, would be handicap accessible. All the equipment in there would be handicap accessible for kids. And they would also, the big thing, set up a foundation that would be for maintenance and taking care of it in perpetuity. So I met with Linda. We went and walked it in the spring, and they've been discussing it. And I set up a meeting yesterday with Linda, and she met out there with them. And you want to kind of take it from there?
Well,
What their plan is to make it ADA approved. So it would be completely fenced in. It would be off the trail, so it would be probably about 60% on village property, 40% on Pollyant Trail easement there, or property. They want to build a access path from the parking lot over the trail, the asphalt section of the trail there, to get to the other side of the Pollyant Trail, to get to the village property on the other side. So that would be the north side, where the park would actually be. And they would present all of their drawings, all of the, the information as they move forward. They just wanted to present this to you so they could get your permission so they could move forward. They don't want to do anything and then all of a sudden, no, you can't do it. I think it'd be a great place. There's a lot of property over there. It's the heaviest section of the trail. Thousands of people walk by there every month. It's between Frosty Boys and Evergreen's Coffee Shop. That is just people there all the time. With the ADA, it's also kids without disabilities can use it, but kids with disabilities can use it. So they're not excluded. They're in their community. They're able to interact, and I think it'd be a really good idea. The village owns some property in the back that they may eventually put in a wooded walking trail. There's a bunch of different options that are on the table. So it's just kind of a beginning of possibly a larger project right off the trail.
well, it certainly aligns well with our mission.
Yeah.
So I'll open it up for council discussion. Is there anything further? Al, go ahead, Curtis.
Is this totally funded by the Rotary?
Yes. Yes.
Is there a concept plan?
They have just a general idea. They wanted to get permission from the village and permission from the council before they actually started working on the plans and the diagrams and the budget.
The only question I would have is we would probably have to check, or we'd have to learn what, if anything, the role of the property we control would have, and whether the DNR would have any problems with our proposed use.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
We discussed that yesterday,
Yeah.
too. I
okay.
mean, they know that they have to, there's a process
Right.
going through here, but if you guys say absolutely not, we're not interested, then the buck stops there at that
Right.
point, because
But if you're interested and it's something you want to pursue, then we will let them know. And they'll draw up some plans, and we'll work with the MDNR and,
And the Village of Oxford, because I'm
Village of
sure
Oxford.
we'll have to,
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to take it to the village next Tuesday. We're having a meeting.
yeah. And I'm speaking to the Rotary on Tuesday at noon, and then the village meeting on Tuesday night.
I'm having trouble finding a downside. Elgin?
I think it's a great concept, but I think we need to look at the particulars,
Right.
Right.
but,
And the particulars aren't here yet. They're going to, they'll get the program and the agreement signed. They would like to have, of course, the Rotary sign on the fence. Dr. Joe wanted to put it in neon, but we said no. But they would have the Rotary sign on the fence. And it is, the biggest thing about it is, it's all-inclusive, and there's very few all-inclusive places for these kids to play. And if we build it, they'll come. And I think it's a really good idea. I think
I got a question on,
Yeah.
maybe you covered it and I missed it, the timing on this. Are you, any kind of timing
they're
ideas?
thinking next year. They would like to
Next
have
year?
it completed by the close of business next year, close the season next year.
Okay.
So 2019.
Aaron?
So you said it'll be 40% on Pollyant and 60% on village property?
On village property, yes.
So, I mean, this could be covered later on, but we'd have to have a contract or a MOW and
Right.
insurance purposes,
Right.
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
Maintenance, okay.
Well, let's say the council, should we give them the preliminary go-ahead?
Yeah.
Perhaps we'll authorize myself and the trail manager to act in the interim to coordinate with them until everybody's reached a decision.
Do we need a motion on this?
No, I'd bring it back for the August meeting. Put it on the agenda, bring back the information.
And we'll have the Rotary come in and actually present their
You'll have
preliminary
council's
stuff.
decision, Rotary, whatever they have to do.
Well, but
We can act.
I think what they're looking for now is whether there's consensus on the council to, that it's not something we want, or is it something that we think we could work with? And I think at least we should give a informal,
You're talking about a roll call type?
no, not a roll
Support.
call, but is there,
Will there be a motion to explore the option of going forward?
that would
Yeah.
probably work.
I make a motion that we explore the option of going forward with the Rotary and the Village of Oxford for the potential use of our property to coincide with theirs.
I would support that. It's a good idea. Let's learn more.
Yeah.
Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to develop more information and what Bruce said? Elgin, do I need to ask you to read it, or do you have it?
Oh, boy, how do I do
I
this?
think we all have the gist of it.
It's on tape.
Explore
It's
the
on
option
tape.
of
It's on-
coinciding our use of the trail with that of the Village of Oxford's.
Right.
And with the Rotary.
Okay, so there's the motion. Is there any questions? If none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say no. So Sue, carry that back
I
to your
will.
council and to
Thank
the
you very
road.
much.
Thank you.
I think it's gonna be fabulous.
Okay. Moving on to unfinished business, the Wood Trail update. We kind of got one. That, nothing else?
Yeah, no, it should be done by the end of the month. They're saying the 22nd, but I was over there. It's a gigantic hole.
Okay. And the Tanview encroachment?
Well, the Tanview encroachment. We received a letter back from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Regulatory Unit Assistant Manager. He was in conversation with the homeowner. The homeowner agreed to move the fence back. He moved the fence back. The homeowner wants us to maintain a 5-foot distance from his property line. Kevin that the MDNR doesn't think that that's a good idea. The homeowner wants us to leave the remnants of the fence where he put it originally. He wants that left. And the MDNR recommends highly that we remove any remnants of the pre-existing fence in the wrong location. They would like to see that fence removed. If we choose to leave some vegetation there, that's our choice, but they recommend that we don't, that we maintain it like we maintain any other section of the trail. And
So where are we? Do we need to authorize removal of whatever's on our property in that location?
yes,
Okay,
the fence was moved back to the correct property line where we had Kennedy do the survey.
right.
It has been placed. He has a solid fence. We don't have to worry about dogs or people drowning in the pool. There is remnants of the old fence posts, that sort of thing. That will need to be removed. That's not going to be an easy task. I am going to need help with that. Unless I get another probation officer, Wham's out for the next almost month because they don't have any probation officers, so I won't have them out again until the end of July.
Go ahead, Ellen.
Was that their property, the posts that are there now, that are not removed?
No, they're not as far as I know, the owners of the adjacent property owners are not claiming that it is their fence. They have maintained that it is the Pollyant Trail fence, the original fence, so.
So any remnants of whatever is there is not on the correct property line. It's squarely on Pollyant Trail property, and I would consider it abandoned garbage.
Mr. Dunn, you had a comment?
Yes, because she's got to hear you on the tape.
It's on the record.
Yeah. Just be going back there.
I've never been to one of these meetings. Bill Dunn, Oxford Township Supervisor. To remove all this stuff, I would suggest you hire a deputy to go down to the jail and pick up 3 or 4 trustees, give them the equipment, and what you have to do is buy them lunch. It's a cheap way to do it. I could even help you with it. If you could just, just hire a deputy, you'll go down there.
And they certainly do love the lunches we give them.
We used to do it all the time until they closed the camp there. We'd do it almost 5 days a week. Between me and the park, we used them a lot.
And I'm certain that your lieutenant could handle that really easily, probably.
So if you'd like to just contact me, or you could work through me, figure out what type of tools they need. We can get them from Park and Rec, have them there I think we can get a crew together for you.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for that.
I'd like to make us authorize that we pay for their lunch for the prisoners, and we might have to. Pardon?
Have to pay for the deputy too.
They usually send a deputy out. I don't know if we have to, I haven't paid for them. They've always come out for free.
Yeah, but you're really cheap.
But I do good lunch. I do good lunch.
Okay, so did I hear then a motion to authorize the trail manager to work with Oxford Township to obtain the assistance of trustees to remove material from the trail property?
I'll make a motion that we have the trail manager work with the township supervisor to arrange for trustees to assist in the Tanview removal of materials there.
Should we authorize any amount of money?
Yeah, I would not to exceed,
$300.
that would include the deputy, in case we do have to pay for the deputy?
So you'll have to pay for them,
Okay,
How much does it usually
because
cost?
I'm not taking one off the street.
No,
okay,
You know what I'm saying?
right. No, that's what I was asking, Bill.
And if I have somebody come in to do it,
300.
Well, usually they would send out just one of the corrections officers. They wouldn't send out the road deputies anyhow.
well, you're familiar with it, you can work with me on it.
I saw this coming.
I'll add Bruce Pearson then to the motion.
Contact the undersheriff, we'll handle this.
Okay, so what's the budget?
I would say then you're gonna have to add maybe a little more. If you're gonna have to pay for 8 hours, you think they could do that in 8 hours? How many,
You're not gonna get,
Maybe 6
you're not
hours.
gonna get them for 8 hours, They'll pick them up about 9, and they gotta be back home in bed by about 2 or 3. So you might get 5 hours. And if it's 50 or 60 bucks an hour, 350 bucks would probably cover it all.
How many feet do we have to take out?
It's not,
Couple hundred feet.
couple hundred feet, yeah, it's not gonna be
It's just pulling the
posts.
On the post.
And if I have them for that many hours and they're.
I got a chain, and we can use Bill's company vehicle, and we'll pull those out.
Probably not.
It's a Jeep, isn't it?
You can tell by the look.
tractor with a loader on it would be
Oh, that would be perfect.
ideal. What are the chances of
Who's
that?
got one of those?
Yeah, I know.
Park and Rec? Park and Rec?
Yeah,
Park and Rec does?
Parks and Rec does.
Put a chain on it.
Well, it sounds like we've got the right people in place that know the resources, so the budget figure then not to exceed $500?
That includes lunch.
And
Lunch is, you can go to McDonald's and get 6
Hot and ready.
Happy Meals.
They're happy with,
All
they're
right,
happy with whatever besides a bologna sandwich.
Okay.
I'll add that to the motion then, $500,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed $500 for lunch.
Mr. Wright?
What are they post anchored by?
Some of them are just pounded in. Some of them look like they've got cement.
Why don't we, I'll arrange a time with you, Linda, we'll go over there and see what we can do. And then,
No, they're metal. And
These
some
are-
of those posts I want.
They're farm fence
Yeah,
posts,
farm.
wire fence.
And trust me,
Price
if,
cement.
if we pay for 4 hours and we're done in 2 hours.
Is it a,
They're staying for that other 2. I got stuff.
Are you talking the posts that are just the T-posts?
T-posts.
T-posts.
I've got a puller for that, so.
I have one too, but the old animal fence, the rusted animal
Yeah.
fence is like embedded and grown into logs, and it's pretty gnarly, and we've got to go into the brush and dig it out. And that's the part, I can pull the post, that's nothing. It's
Metal, can you cut them
digging
off?
out of the brush.
Well, that's where a tractor might come in handy.
Tractor,
If you
put a chain on it,
can-
we'll
You
be
can
all
pull
set.
that fence out of right out of the ground.
We'll look at it.
You know, Bruce,
Okay.
you and I and Mike,
I-
Curtis, we could take.
I don't know if my tractor's allowed to come over to Oxford Township or not, though.
We'll allow them for one day.
You might need
Parks and Rec
one
might
lower
have something.
time, You know,
Parks and Rec could help you.
like a fire truck.
And it might be a bigger, heavier tractor, not the,
I do all my work at midnight anyhow.
That's what I've
We just bought a Polaris four-wheeler
okay.
for the safety paths.
Thank you, Bill.
Is there a timetable for this? I mean, I like that plan, when are we gonna do this? Or else,
Tomorrow.
You want to go tomorrow, Linda?
Tomorrow,
Well-
free tomorrow. Fridays, no. No,
The-
no on
The
Fridays.
motion is that Linda will work with the Bruce and Bill to make the arrangements not to exceed $500.
Thank you, Bill.
Bill's never worked with me before.
We've got money involved.
Okay, so, are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mike McDonald,
Yes.
Curtis Wright,
Yes.
Donnie Steele absent, Elgin Nichols, yes, Bruce Pearson,
Yes.
Eric Sent,
Yes.
Aaron Watley,
Yes.
Sue Bassardet.
Yes.
It's approved.
Motion carried. Okay. Are there any other matters to come before the council? If not, public comment, seeing none. Board member comments, I'd like to lead. I just want the council to know that we received a very nice thank you note from Larry Obrecht. He states that, "Dear council members, thank you for all your support for our Bridge Dedication Day. Linda is great at her job, and we are lucky to have her." Signed, Larry. So, good job, Linda. It was well done and well deserved, so. I'll start with Kevin. Comments?
No, I agree with that.
Yep. Sue?
I just have a couple. Thank you for supporting Rotary's idea to the point that we can get at least started on it. Linda did a great job at the dedication, but you did too, Mike. I liked your speech. It was good. And everybody have a safe and happy 4th of July.
Thank you. You too. Curtis?
Okay.
Uh-oh, he's got a list, folks.
I'm just wondering, did we get our written asset inventory from Adam Lapp from the MDNR? He did an asset inventory?
I did do it. They are still working on it. They have not gotten,
So
all
the
of
answer is no.
information. Yeah, no, we have not. They, are still trying to compile other bits and pieces that they need to do. They had nothing on file, pretty they're still compiling.
Okay, the mile markers, I'm wondering if council would consider just doing the whole route at one time versus having Max do part of it. We could just go forward with it, and if he does do half of it, is he doing the north or the south?
I was thinking that we possibly just kind of shush some money around and do 17 markers or 18 markers and do 0, 17, start in Orient and just every mile.
So go all.
Do the mile markers instead of,
do the
skip the
miles
halves?
first,
Yeah,
right.
do the miles first, and then we're good. And if we decide later on that an Eagle Scout wants to come along and do another project, pick up the other half, he can do the half.
So we're comfortable with just doing miles?
Because right now we have like 2 through 6 or something.
Yeah, getting it done would be awesome.
Okay, and then, we need to update our contact list on there. We still have our previous auditor on there, I did notice that. Ramey Phillips, was that who it was?
Yeah, apologies.
I did pass out the 2017 audit that is pertinent to the Pollyant Trail Council. If you'd like a full copy of the Oxford Township audit, I will email it to you. Rezoning's underway. Update on Ghosts on the Trail.
Goats on the trail, they're on the trail.
Oh, they are on the trail.
Yeah, they're still on the trail for another 17 minutes.
Huh?
They're actually doing great. Everybody loves those goats. I'm telling you what, I had $1 for every positive comment we got. But that being said,
Since I have Aaron here, Complete Automation has requested the goats in Orion Township for a couple of days. Is that a problem down by the community center? Because we have a bunch of bittersweet vines in that, right at the end of the parking lot. She could bring the goats in, we could do a little press release with the seniors at the community center through Jennifer. We could kind of make a big deal out of it, and Complete Automation wants to have everybody in their employ go down and see the goats. They want to make a big day of it, go see the goats.
Complete Automation in Orion
Yeah.
has been a huge supporter
Supporters. Oh,
of the trail. They've gone out of their way many times, so
Yeah. They're just fabulous people, fabulous
this
people.
is not an unusual request
Right.
in light of that.
Yeah, and if it would be okay,
No problem.
you know, I think, you know, it's just such a publicity thing. The goats love their jobs, and the people love the goats. I mean, it's just, they're hilarious. And yesterday, they were out giving little kids kisses. So it's
Well,
just
I think
perfect.
that's within your
Yeah.
purview.
So
So,
it's-
but
Where-
thank you.
yeah, I think-
Where are they located?
Right now, they are just south of Burdick and just north of Powell Park. Next week, Ron Davis has given us permission. We're going to work with the parks a little bit. Down at the corner of Powell Park and the Pollyant Trail, there's a huge, huge section of nothing but bittersweet vine. So we're going to stake that off tomorrow. And then next week, they're going to be working down there. And we're kind of going to do a dramatic before, during, and after. And then people can actually see what they're able to do and how, just because it's green and growing doesn't mean it's good. It's terrible stuff out there. And that's what's growing in that fence that we're going to dig out. It's just terrible stuff. So they'll be there next week,
All right.
and the goats are south on Burdick. So, yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
That's it. Elgin?
I just want to comment on the organization that was done for the Larry Albrecht dedication. Very well done. And I was there too to see what was going on. Lots of things happening there. He's a great guy. I met him, talked to him for a while. I guess other than that, that's about all I have to say. Other than, of course, I think that Linda Moran is still doing an excellent job. I think our chairperson here is also doing a good job for the Pollyant Trail. That's it.
Thanks, Linda. You're
Yeah.
making me look good. I don't know how you're doing
I'm
it.
telling you.
Bruce?
I just want to say, you know, I've seen this trail grow from its very beginning. It's come through our family farm. And I will say that in the last week, I did notice that it's just a hub of activity now. And what a change from years ago where you'd see maybe 1 or 2 people a day to now it's just a flurry of activity. And even on the way over here, in front of the gravel pit, I saw all of the people out there. So I think we've done an exceptionally great thing for the community, and I think they certainly do appreciate it just by the showing of the people using it. So I just wanted to comment on that.
Aaron?
Yeah, I agree with that our community loves our trail, and it's not just for recreational purposes, but the trail's so nice that it's improving property values, anyone up against it, so. But you're doing a great job, and I apologize for not being able to attend the dedication, but I heard it was great.
Weddings, you
Yeah.
got to follow the boss's orders or you're in trouble.
That's accurate, yes.
Yeah.
So, thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add on to, I think you guys are doing a great job, You know the old saying, if you do a good job, you know what you get, right? You
more
get
work.
more work. But I want to add on to a comment about the trails. My son lives down in Rochester. I know a lot of people are going on the trail down there, and the connectivity is one of trails is one of the things that I hear quite a bit about. That if we're on by Paint Creek, can we go on this creek? Can we go on that creek? And will it go further than the Pollyant Trail? Will it go further than Leonard someday? I hear questions like that, so that's all positive. That means people are interested in it.
Well, I kind of look at these trails and the trail systems that we have as the old-fashioned sidewalks. You used to walk on your sidewalk out in front of your house and you could go see your grandma and go to the store and go to the library. The trails are now becoming more like our sidewalks. You get out and you meet the same people, and you may not even live near these people.
It's a social,
Yeah.
I think it's the new social event in a way.
I just love it, If you didn't notice, I kind of got an obsession for it, but,
No, we didn't
Can't go
notice.
to the malls anymore, they're tearing those down. Those are the trail.
So, and don't think that I'm not waiting for Orion to get their millage increase and for the palace to be torn down, because there's going to be some garage selling on the trail. So.
Okay. Well, if there's no further comments, motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Good evening, everybody, or